The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Chen Wei stepped forward. 63 alien species watched from their designated platforms, their forms ranging from crystalline beings that hummed with bioluminescence to massive gas cloud entities held together by electromagnetic fields. Chen stood alone at the center of the circular chamber, a single human surrounded by the accumulated wisdom and power of a galaxy that had existed for millennia before Earth even knew it wasn't alone. Ambassador Chen Wei of Earth, the Archon's voice resonated through the chamber, translated simultaneously into every language known to the galaxy. You stand accused of violating the doctrine of proportional response. Your species has been observed for 47 standard cycles. In that time, humanity has engaged in 17 conflicts. In 0 of those conflicts did humanity surrender, even when defeat was mathematically certain. This persistence threatens the established order of galactic civilization. Chen smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. Your Honor, with respect, you don't understand what you're accusing us of. Act 1, the accusation, 1 to 430. The Archon's form shifted, colors rippling across its translucent surface, a sign of confusion among its species. We understand perfectly, Ambassador. Let me present the evidence. A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. The first image showed a small human colony world, Kepler 442b. The planet's surface was scarred, its oceans boiling away. Cycle 2343. The Thrall swarm descended upon your colony of New Shanghai. Population, 80,000 humans. The Thrall numbered 3 million. You were outnumbered 37 to 1. Standard galactic protocol dictates immediate surrender to preserve life. The hologram shifted, showing desperate humans in makeshift armor, fighting with mining equipment and improvised weapons. Instead, your colonists fought for 72 days. They used mining charges as explosives. They collapsed their own tunnels to trap enemy forces. They poisoned their own water supplies to deny it to the enemy. When rescue arrived, 62,000 humans were dead. A murmur rippled through the council. Chen stood silent, his jaw tight. But here is what disturbs us, Ambassador. The remaining 18,000 survivors were not grateful for rescue. They were angry it took so long. They wanted to continue fighting. Another image appeared. This one showed a human warship, the UNSS Indomitable, drifting in space. Its hull was breached in 100 places, atmosphere venting into the void. Cycle 2345. Your ship encountered a Zerathian dreadnought. You were outgunned, outmanned, and outclassed in every measurable way. Surrender would have meant imprisonment, but survival. Instead, Captain Sarah Okonkwo rammed her dying ship into the dreadnought's reactor core. She killed everyone aboard both vessels, the Archon continued. 300 of your people died. 2,000 Zerathians died. When we recovered the bridge logs, do you know what her last words were? Chen closed his eyes. He knew. If we're going down, we're taking you with us. Those were her words, Ambassador. Not surrender. Not negotiation. Mutual destruction. The Archon's voice grew harder. In the past 47 cycles, we have documented this pattern repeatedly. Humans who fight to the last breath. Humans who choose death over surrender. Humans who, when facing certain defeat, somehow find ways to hurt their enemies even in dying. This is not bravery, Ambassador. This is pathology. This is why we have brought you here today. The galaxy has rules. Proportional response. Strategic surrender. Calculated losses. Your species follows none of these protocols. Act 2, the defense, 4:30 to 9 o'clock. Chen opened his eyes. He looked around the chamber, meeting the gazes of dozens of alien species. You want to know why we don't surrender? Let me tell you a story. Not from the stars, but from Earth. From our own history. The holographic display flickered as Chen took control, showing images of Earth through its ages. In the year 1941 of our old calendar, my nation, China, was at war. We were invaded by an empire that possessed superior technology, superior numbers, superior everything. The invasion began in 1937. By 1941, we had lost millions. Our capital had fallen. Our armies were scattered. Images of war-torn Earth cities appeared. Every strategic calculation said we should surrender. The math was simple. We were defeated. But we didn't surrender. We fought in the cities. We fought in the countryside. We fought in the mountains. For 8 years, we fought. And eventually, we won. A Varelian counselor, its 3 heads swaying in confusion, spoke up. But, at what cost? How many died in those 8 years? 15 to 20 million of my people, Chen said quietly. Maybe more. We'll never know the exact number. Shocked silence filled the chamber. You see our refusal to surrender as pathology, Chen continued. We see it as the only thing that has allowed us to survive. Let me show you more. The display changed, showing a frozen wasteland. 1942, a city called Stalingrad. The enemy had superior technology. They had already conquered most of Europe. The city was surrounded. Strategic doctrine said evacuate or surrender. The defenders chose neither. They fought for every building. Every street. Every room. When they ran out of ammunition, they fought with knives and rocks and their bare hands. The siege lasted 200 days. Over 2 million died. The city was reduced to rubble. But the defenders never surrendered. And they won. More images flashed by. Desert fortresses. Island beaches. Mountain passages. 1967. A nation of 3 million facing armies from nations totaling over 100 million. 6 days of war. They won because surrender was not an option. 1999, 33 human. A concrete bunker holding off thousands for 77 days. They knew rescue wasn't coming. They fought anyway. 2156, the colony of Titan. 16,000 humans against a plague that had a 98% mortality rate. They quarantined themselves. No supply ships in or out. They chose possible extinction over spreading the plague. 400 survived. They never considered surrender. Chen's voice grew stronger. You call it pathology. We call it something else. We call it being human. The Archon interrupted. But Ambassador, this is precisely our concern. Your species cannot calculate acceptable losses. You cannot recognize when a fight is unwinnable. Chen shook his head. No, Your Honor. You misunderstand. We recognize when fights are unwinnable. We simply don't care. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Every human who has ever fought in a desperate battle knew the odds. Captain Okonkwo knew her ship was dead. The defenders of New Shanghai knew they were outnumbered. They all knew. They fought anyway. Why? The Archon asked, and for the first time, there was genuine curiosity in its voice. Chen was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but it carried to every corner of the chamber. Because we've learned something in our 10,000 years of recorded history. Something every war, every battle, every desperate last stand has taught us. He paused. The only fight you're guaranteed to lose is the one you don't fight at all. Act 3, The Revelation, 9 to 1300 hours. Let me tell you what happens when humans surrender, Chen said. Let me show you our history of surrender. The display showed concentration camps. Slave ships. Genocide. When we surrendered, we were enslaved. When we surrendered, we were slaughtered. When we surrendered, we ceased to exist. We've learned this lesson too many times, on too many battlefields, in too many wars. So yes, we fight when the odds are impossible. We fight when logic says to quit. We fight because the alternative is extinction, and if extinction is coming anyway, we might as well take the enemy with us. A small, insectoid counselor spoke up, its voice clicking and translated. But you speak of human versus human conflict. Surely against us, against galactic civilization, surrender would be treated with honor. Chen's laugh was bitter. Counselor, with all due respect, we've only been in space for 300 years. In that time, we've already encountered 7 species that saw us as prey, resources, or vermin to be exterminated. The K'Thrall don't take prisoners, they consume them. The Zarathians wanted our worlds for terraforming, with us included in the cleansing. The void wraiths of Proxima viewed us as a food source.